Hello, 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 ladies and gelatins. We are here for a short stream today, as there was family emergency. It's all good. It's all good. But happens. Life. Anyways, we're gonna continue and see if we can find ourselves what kind of endings we can get here. Because apparently we're actually getting pretty close to the end. I'll have to actually really think about which game I want next. Because I definitely have a list of stuff. It's just which of the ones on my list will I pick first. So we shall see. But let us go to Osa and see where we were, because I haven't even looked at his story for a month in real life, at least. So, we're gonna feel some feelings about Osawa. Those feelings for Osawa in general are so mixed, and that's great, honestly. Very, very well written character with some very specific kind of flaws. Makes it really interesting. So, I am enjoying. Let us continue. I don't want to know how people feel. All I want to know is what viruses feel. I prefer viruses. They make no move to encroach on me from the other side of my microscope. They leave me free. Let my thoughts wander as I wish. And while it may be true to say I understand viruses, I have never been able to understand my fellow humans. I don't know them. I don't know a single fundamental thing about them. With Tanaka dead, trying to use the backup passwords for the fingerprint scanner had become a hopeless endeavor. The only remaining means of gaining entry to the storage area was to issue an emergency unlock request to the electronic lock manufacturer. And in order to do that, they needed approval from the 6 members of the board of directors. Returning to his study, Osawa called Makino's personal cell phone. What is it? Makino said gruffly as soon as he picked up. Osawa informed him of the situation, including Tanaka's death, and the fact that Maria was infected. The news left Makino at a loss for words. Please, Osawa begged. You need to hold an emergency board meeting. Makino was silent for a few moments. I'm afraid I can't do that. Why not? Are you just going to sit by and let my daughter die? Osawa raged. Not just her, if Maria goes symptomatic. That was still only an if, but Osawa was reluctant to put his fears into words. If she goes symptomatic, the Ua virus will sweep through all of Tokyo. I realize that, Makino replied. But one of the board members is overseas on business. Holding a meeting is impossible. Despite the gravity of the situation, he sounded astoundingly nonchalant. Osawa couldn't back down now. There must be some other option, like a web conference or something. It doesn't help if we can't get in touch with him, Makino huffed. He went missing a few days ago in the middle of his business trip. I see. The head of Okoshi Pharmaceuticals' New York branch has been missing since April 25th, 9 p.m. local time. There have been no demands for a ransom, and so the New York Police Department is investigating the possibility of some other form of foul play. I was almost too appalled to be angry. That's the most ridiculous lie I've ever heard. Would you like to speak to my on-site contact if you don't believe me? This was like arguing with a child. If Makino was deliberately working against him, he'd never know if this disappearance was real or not. In that case, can you please appoint a representative in his stead? Selecting a representative is a complicated process. Even if we started right now, it could take until sometime tomorrow afternoon to complete. Tomorrow afternoon? Then it would be too late for any of this to matter. Sir, can't you see how absurd the things you're saying are? What would you have me do? Makino barked. These are the realities of corporate politics. You know, corporate politics. More important than life and death. Always. I understand, sir. You will do nothing for my daughter. That's what you're saying. That's not what I'm saying, Makino replied. Look, I'll see what I can do to appoint a representative more quickly. He hung up. His tone has suggested that waiting for an appointee wouldn't be a terribly helpful prospect. I have no more allies, Osawa thought. All I have left now are foes. He couldn't count on anyone anymore. Osawa was just going to have to get the antiviral by himself. He couldn't count on anyone anymore. Osawa was just going to have to go get the antiviral by himself. Tanaka might be dead, but there still might be some way to get that lock open. Taking extra care to avoid the notice of detectives, Osawa snuck out of the house and headed for the garage. Definitely a jump, but where does it jump? Where can we jump? Probably not from Kano's jump. Maybe? No, probably not, because it's the previous hour. I think our best bet is unfortunately Minorikawa. Hey, Minorikawa said. Is it fun hitting people with that thing? Yeah, real fun. Okay. Maybe give it a rest with the stick. I feel like I need to check something. Into the time chart. It's like, we got Achi to the to be continued. We got Maria to the end. We got Kano to be continued. So clearly this stuff that's okay. But the problem is that like sometimes we have to like untangle it in that like we have to do a thing and then we have to do it differently to still get the same ending somehow. Which is hard. But at least we know this doesn't affect Achi in a bad way. You look tired, sir. Yeah, guess so. His reply was barely audible. The taxi stopped out of Heaven Publishing. Minorikawa left a 1,000-yen bill on the seat and exited the cab. He was stumbling his way toward the building when someone called out to him. Mr. Minorikawa. For a moment, Minorikawa didn't recognize the man now idling in his sedan at the curb, but it was when he took a closer look he realized it was Kenji Osawa. Here's our jump. And we're unlocked. As he was driving past Oyama, Osawa spotted a man he recognized walking along. He pulled up alongside him and called out through the window. Mr. Minorikawa. Oh, Mr. Osawa. Sorry, but I haven't been able to look into that thing you asked about yet. I see. That's quite all right. The business with I and Tanaka could wait until later. Right now he needed to focus on protecting Shibuya. If he didn't get his hands on that antiviral, you're caught up in something big, aren't you? How did you know? Because I'm Minorikawa. Well, a man's egotism had some justification. Maybe he didn't know the details, but he clearly had some inkling about Osawa's situation. Something clicked in Osawa's mind. He was up against the wall. Okoshi Pharmaceutical had told him they were going to just let Maria die. He was past the point where he could resolve this peacefully, but was not going to do it without a fight. When it came time, Osawa was sure this man could help him. Well, that'll make this simpler, I guess. Get in. I'll tell you everything. Minorikawa thought for a moment, then got into the passenger seat. As he drove to the lab, Osawa filled Minorikawa in on all the details. The reporter listened intently, occasionally interrupting to ask a question. So how are you planning to get your hands on the antiviral? Yeah, he asked when Osawa finished. Not sure. Figured I'd think of something after I got there. Minorikawa let out a nasal chuckle. Just improvising, huh? I'll back you up. At least I know I found my way into something important. They pulled up outside the lab and the two men got out of the car. Immediately, a team of security guards burst out through the gate and forced Osawa to the grounds. Hey, Minorikawa protested. What the hell is this? The guards had grabbed him as well. Unhand me, Osawa yelled. I'm Kenji Osawa. This is my lab. Mr. Osawa, Minorikawa said. What the hell's going on here? Osawa was just as confused. Bad end. He looked up to see Makino standing before him. Sir, tell these thugs to let me go. Makino just frowned silently down at him. So not only will you not help me, you're actively getting in my way? Osawa glared up at his boss. Maria's life, no, countless humans' lives are at risk. And there's nothing about that you alone can do about that. That's what I need you to understand. Makino gave a signal to the guards, who proceeded to drag Osawa away. The scientist writhed with despair at his own impotence. In the end, there was nothing I could do. Well, let's see what its hint is. I mean, we basically just have to... Unfortunately, it looks like Osawa's just not going to be able to get in the laboratory. He'll have to make some other decision. Let's see if we can make another decision through him somehow. Mr. Osawa, sorry I haven't been able to look at that thing. Osawa looked pale and haggard. Minorikawa's reporter senses started tingling. This guy's the key to something. He recalled what he'd heard the detective and his buddy talking about at the back of the scene of the explosion. Roughly 8 hours ago, they infected Maria Osawa with the UA virus. If we don't administer Kenji Osawa's antiviral before she develops symptoms... You're caught up in something big, aren't you? How do you know that? Because, Get in. Get in the car, loser. We're going driving. Minorikawa hesitated. This might be his big chance to land a beyond incredible scoop. It felt like it was too late to matter. Still, landing a major story, selling out an issue of the 4-star Journal Gossip, and putting Heaven Publishing on the road to solvency, well, that was the least he could do in Toyama's memory. You don't drop a story until you have what you need. Maybe it was too late to save Toyama. Minorikawa got in the car. Osawa's tale was beyond anything Minorikawa had imagined. So they send you threatening emails, devise a plan to kidnap your daughter in order to get the antiviral, and now that that's failed, they're turning into bioterrorism? Finally, Minorikawa was able to flesh out the story behind the conversation he'd overheard earlier. As he did, he felt a growing sense of exhilaration. So basically, they're now effectively holding all the people in Shibuya hostage and demanding the antiviral, is that it? Before Osawa could answer, a new idea occurred to Minorikawa. Wait, hold on. Why did they just start by taking the whole city hostage? Why did they need to go through all the trouble of kidnapping your daughter? I don't know, Osawa said, shaking his head. Perhaps they wanted the ransom money? For a mere 50 million yen? Can't imagine international terrorists bothering for that much. Can't know how terrorists think, Osawa spat. Let's just assume, though. Could there be some other reason they abducted your daughter? Osawa didn't reply. He's probably too preoccupied with finding a way to save his infected daughter to think about anything else. Still, something about the course of events didn't quite add up to Minorikawa. Whatever the case, if the criminals were after this antiviral, then sticking with Osawa ought to bring him closer to the truth. Minorikawa was still mulling that over when they arrived at the laboratory. Okay. They were subdued in a matter of moments. Hey, what the hell? Unhand me. It's exactly the same, okay. We get the same hint? Because it's the same bad end? I mean, will we tell Osawa to do nothing instead? Hey, Minorikawa shouted at the man as he began to walk away. Don't you know what's going to happen to Shibuya? Don't you care? If you just stand by and let the people of the city die, Okoshi Pharmaceuticals is going to be held responsible. The man stopped in his tracks. And if that happened, you'll be ruined personally, too, Minorikawa added. You know I'm right. That will be up for the police to decide. You're gonna regret this. Don't be a fool. Minorikawa's resolve was unwavering. His pen would mete out justice. He might have come close to forgetting what he once stood for, but now the old fire was back. I see. Seems this isn't something to leave unchecked. The man gestured with his jaw. Take him as well. More security guards surrounded Minorikawa. Hey, stop it, let me go! But though he struggled fiercely, there was no escape. Once he was dragged through those laboratory doors, Minorikawa never wrote another article again. Oh, they killed him. I want to see the hint. I'm curious. If Osawa can't get to Uno's lab, there's no reason to go there. Osawa needs to decide on a different course of action. Okay. Alright. So... You just have to take Makino at his word. Right now, that was the only course of action. Let's see what happens now. Osawa sat down in front of his computer and quietly closed his eyes. Only I could just go to sleep and wake up tomorrow morning and find all of this resolved. All I'm asking for is a miracle. But he knew reality would never be so kind. He could hold his eyes shut as long as he wanted, and it wouldn't make this hopeless situation go away. He felt the anxiety welling up inside him until it seemed like he was going to explode. Needing a distraction from his helplessness, Osawa opened up Ayanet. He knew this was mere escapism, but he could just sit and do nothing while waiting for Makino to call back. He posted a new topic with the title of Aya Fortune Teller. I tried the Aya Fortune Teller. My results basically said I was a bad person who can't connect to the people around me. And you know what? That's exactly right. I'm only interested in my own little world. That's probably why my wife and my assistant at work got so fed up with me. It's the same with my 2 daughters. What sort of things are they interested in? I wish he types faster. Do they have a lot of friends? What are their aspirations for the future? I don't know any of those things. It never even occurred to me to find out. I'm such a terrible father. That's just true. You are a terrible father. Osawa's fingers ceased their tapping on the keyboard, and he thought back to when Maria and Hitomi were younger. Daddy! The 2 girls would follow him around like a pair of puppies. Their father was their everything. That much was clear just by looking at their faces. He'd felt a ticklish giddiness at having his girls cling to him so. He'd never felt anything like it in his life, but there were times where he also found it tiresome. My voice is fading partway through. Really? Okay, hold on. Okay. Also, hello, partner in time. Good to see you. Okay, is it better? Let me know if it does it again. It might have been the setting that I put my mic on. I'm sick of being the person I am. There's nothing I can do about that. Oh. I'm sure it's far too late for me to change. He poured out all his negative emotions into his post. He felt like a stream of consciousness drivel, but he didn't hesitate to write down all the same. He wanted other people to know what a miserable excuse for a human being he was. At last, when he couldn't think of anything else to add, he posted his bitter confession to the forum. He was staring numbly at the monitor when he heard a furious shout from the next room. You've got to be kidding me! It was Kajiwara, and Osawa never heard him so angry. love them with their little laptops. It's such a good picture. Osawa headed into the living room and found Kajiwara embroiled in a vehement argument with the other detectives. I don't care what HQ's policy is. I will not just quietly go along with this. Kajiwara had already screamed himself right in the face. You're out of line, snapped one MPD detective. Kiichi Sawatari, with the Metropolitan Police Department's first criminal investigation section. Having heard of Kajiwara's past deeds from friends at the Shibuya precinct, he recommended to his boss that Kajiwara be assigned the investigation at the Osawa residence. After seeing the detective's interactions with Osawa, he is confident that his recommendation was in the right. However, given the circumstances, he can't help but take a cold stance towards Kajiwara. Hold your tongue. I don't care if I'm out of line. You may have talent, I'll give you that, the other detective said. But you're a precinct detective, and this isn't your jurisdiction. It's not your place to question orders from higher up. Wait, so I thought. Kajiwara really is a real detective after all. Go on, explain the situation, Mr. Osawa. Kajiwara bit his lip in frustration at the other detective's order. Very well, he said. But before he could say more, Osawa noticed that the police equipment had all been cleared off the table. Hold on, Osawa said. What's going on? Has something happened? Allow me to explain, sir, Kajiwara said. His bitterness showed plainly on his face. We've been recalled, sir. The MPD has established a security force headed by members of its Public Security Bureau to deal with the bioterrorist threat. Because the kidnapping task force has not yet found Maria, and she's infected with the virus, the task force personnel have instead been absorbed into the security force and will continue their work under its direction. Osawa narrowed his eyes, fighting to keep the confusion from his face. What do you mean by that? He was shaking, terrified to have his suspicions confirmed. Truly sorry, sir, for having been unable to help you. Kajiwara gave a deep and solemn bow. But, Maria, what's going to happen to Maria? Another unit has been tasked with bringing your daughter into custody, sir. That much at least Osawa could process. You're going to place her under quarantine, aren't you? Kajiwara's lips stiffened, but he nodded, in order to minimize the spread of the virus. No, Osawa cried. You can't do that. If you do, there won't be any way to save her. His head spun. Please, I beg you. You need to get Maria to me. I might be able to save her. When Kajiwara didn't respond, he turned to the other detectives. Please, don't. You can't place Maria under quarantine. The detective's only answer was to avert their eyes. Why are you all ignoring me? Please, you have to listen. If you bring her to me, I can figure something out. I know I can. He plunked himself down on the floor, yelling and flailing his arms like a child throwing a tantrum. The detectives exchanged sullen looks with one another, then walked off and left him there. He knew he must be a sorry sight, but nevertheless, he kept shouting after them. Please, don't stand by and let my daughter die. Only Kajiwara remained with him in the living room. Sorry, sir. This was beyond my ability to stop. Gave another apologetic bow. Osawa felt suddenly deflated. I'm gonna take a sip of tea. Tea. No, you've done a fine job, Detective Kajiwara. It's me who should be sorry. I've made such a disgraceful display of myself. It's not true, sir. In fact, I'm deeply moved. I can tell how much Maria must have meant to you. Or must mean to you. That's a word typo. That's a brain typo that, I'm sorry, Maria. I know you're still alive because we got to the ending with you. Osawa shook his head. If I'd really been thinking about Maria, I would have made a more effort to work with you detectives. That was all just self-absorbed shouting, a moment of emotional selfishness. And yet, as a result, you convinced me to stay here with you. Kajiwara proceeded to pull out his phone and put in a request with the task force headquarters to remain at the Osawa residence. He got into a heated spat with his commanding officer, but ultimately received permission to stay on as the police liaison with Osawa. Well, Detective said when he hung up, you see, there are some people who legitimately moved by a parental display of emotion, even if I'm not certain that I can do very much staying here with you. That's not true, Sawa replied. There's plenty you can help me with. He looked into Kajiwara's face and smiled. For instance, I can have a banana whenever I want. You find things that have gone missing. Fried egg on rice you made was delicious. I want to say the banana, but I think I need to do this one first. Ah, like that plane ticket, you mean? Kajiwara gave a bashful smile. Yes, I'd never found it if you hadn't been here, Detective. Well, like they say, you can never find something when you're looking for it. And a hint of sadness came to Kajiwara's eyes, and his voice grew quieter. My daughter, she had this little toy ring that she loves, and she lost it in our house somewhere. Didn't realize you had a daughter, Detective. She just started grade school this year. Oh, really? She must be adorable. Well, I don't get to see her as much as I'd like. A lonely sort of smile crossed Kajiwara's face. Why's that? Doing this job caused me to neglect my family. Finally, about 2 years ago, my wife hit me with the divorce paperwork. I wanted to be able to keep our daughter with me, but well, the law tends to favor the mother when it comes to custody issues, or the person who spends time with the child. Each of those decisions give different backstory. Oh, that's good to know. I didn't expect her to turn a dot hack with it. Ooh, interesting. I haven't played any dot hack. I like read a little bit of it once because there was like one of them in a library. That's about all I know of with dot hack. The detective pulled 2 bars of chocolate from his pocket. Osawa accepted one, but said nothing. The toy ring she lost, I bought it for her as a birthday present. She loved it so much she cried and cried when it was gone. Looked all over for it. The detective bit into his own chocolate bar with a soft snap. So then later, this toy ring, I found it after my wife took our daughter away. You know where it was? Sawa shook his head slightly. Under my daughter's mattress. Fell out when the bed was being taken out of her room. Isn't that funny? But it was somewhere I never would have found if she'd stayed. Another sad smile came to Kajiwara's face before he went on. I guess there wasn't much point, though. Finding it after she was already gone. The man had lost his daughter. Sawa couldn't help but sympathize. I mean, not really. He gets to see her sometimes. She's still alive. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like he spent too much time at his job because, unfortunately, Japanese work-life balance is non-existent. Here was someone he could really talk to. He was sure of that much now. Detective, I apologize. I've kept things from you because I was worried that they involved classified corporate information. Oh? Kajiwara's eyes glimmered with interest. Earlier today I received some emails that could be pertinent to the case. Would you mind letting me see them? Sawa shook his head. On the contrary. Yep. Just like Osawa, this is why he could trust him. Another person who just cares more about job than family, which... Why? Why? Why care about job more than family? Job is so that you can have family. Family is not so that you can have job. It's a one-way street. Osawa saw that Ayanet was still open. Pretty Honey had responded to his forum post. One moment, just let me read this. Osawa read the response. I'm curious. Osawa read the response. I'm so curious what Pretty Honey said. Got that same result. Really think it's too late? Don't give up hope. Hang in there. It's never too late. Every family has its share of problems. Like, you'll never find one that doesn't, I'm sure. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. Don't let it get you down, Julie. Besides, I did learn one thing from reading your post. In the end, a father's happiness is his daughter's happiness. All the emojis, I wish I could find out how to voice them, because it would be great. Because it's full of so many cutesy emojis. Young girl is posting to a forum for people 40 and older? It's Pretty Honey. She always replies to my threads. The detective furrowed his brow. I see. Something the matter? No. That last line there just has me curious at all. A young girl writing something like that. Well, that's neither here nor there. Let me see those emails if you would. Osawa opened his email. He pulled up the images of the human testing on the monitor. What is this? Kajiwara stared at the monitor as if unable to look away. Those are images from unauthorized clinical testing of an antiviral drug I developed, carried out by my company without my knowledge. Images of a... I'm sorry, what? The detective frowned at the unfamiliar terminology. In simple terms, the antiviral is a wonder drug to combat the UA virus. Hold on. Maria's infected with the UA virus, isn't that right? Yes. UA is a species of virus discovered in South Africa relatively recently. Roughly 12 hours after infection, patients develop a cough, then a fever, then begin vomiting, and ultimately begin bleeding uncontrollably from all over, resulting in death. Mortality rate is... So I was reluctant to say it. Kajiwara held his breath, waiting. It's nearly 100%. Kajiwara shuddered. Wait, said after a moment. If you have this wonder drug, then Maria... Sawa shook his head. Without Tanaka, I have no means of getting it out of the lab. Kajiwara's frown deepened. See. May not be much to go on, but I think we can put together at least one piece of our little mystery here. Mystery. Oh my gosh. Something difficult or impossible to explain. You'll see such plenty of books titled The Mystery of the Such and Such or The Secret of Whatever on bookstore shelves. When you read them, you're invariably disappointed by the mystery not being that mysterious after all. Valid. Pardon me one moment. Kajiwara inspected the email address of the sender, and brought up the mail header. You don't see email addresses like this much. It's seemingly from a foreign country, but that may be fake. You can tell that just from the email? Detective flashed a little grin. Take a look here. So we just do this, and his fingers flew over the keyboard, calling up the header details, singling out the received from field. This set of 4 numbers at the bottom is the sender's IP address. Think of it as an ordinarily hidden location marker of sorts. Ah yes, the secrets of the IP address. Because, yeah, the criminals don't know how to use VPN. I mean, back then, I don't know, maybe not so much. And probably not even a criminal, so... As he spoke, the detective pulled up a website called IP Station. He copied and pasted the set of 4 numbers and pressed the enter key. The monitor showed the name of the provider, connection method, and other such details. Provider, a vendor that provides an internet connection service. A typical internet connection requires a dedicated line. Customers who do not already have one must make a contract for one with the provider. When the provider establishes your connection to the internet, you are assigned an identifying number called an IP address. Sawa couldn't make heads or tails of most, but one thing is there. Access point, Shibuya Ward. Kajiwara went into the email program options and checked the server info for Osawa's connection. Furrows formed in his forehead. This here is the same provider that you use, Mr. Osawa. What does that mean? What kind of internet connection do you have here at your house? Sorta, it's plugged in over there, but... Osawa pointed at the router. And does everyone in your family use that same line? Yeah, I think so. Kajiwara opened up a command prompt. Oh my gosh. He's using ipconfig. This is awesome. A literal prompt for users to issue computer control commands via keyboard instead of mouse. Also frequently used to refer to the window or program allowed for such. ipconfig. Okay, if the same numbers we saw before pop up here, that's a bad sign. Osawa stared at the monitor. Kajiwara pressed enter and a black window covered in white alphanumeric numbers appeared. Characters. What the heck? Kajiwara muttered under his breath. Wait, what's going on? Explain simply that I can understand. Faking an email address is simple enough. The typical person wouldn't be able to fake an IP. I mean, VPN. It's very likely that these emails were sent from another computer inside the house. Osawa had to stifle a gasp. The emails had been sent from his own house around 11 o'clock that morning. Since Osawa hadn't sent them himself, that left only one possible culprit. Suddenly, his phone rang, nearly startling him out of his seat. Makino's name showed up on the incoming call display. Sawa quickly picked up. Is there an update on the emergency board meeting? He blurted. Makino's voice was quiet and subdued. I tried pulling whatever strings I could, but to no avail. I'm afraid holding a board meeting today just won't be possible. The The phone fell from Osawa's hand. His only possible means of saving Maria was now gone. To be continued! We got him. Got him there. Now we just need to finish up the Minorikawa. And we'll go to the next hour. Looking tired, sir. Yeah. Yes, so. Yeah, we've seen this. I wish skipping was better. Trip had taken 10 minutes on the dot. He's very fast. He's very good at his job. Kimizuku was leaning out the window and pointed at him. It isn't called work because it's fun, sir. The day will be over soon enough. Just hang in there a little bit longer. The driver finished with a knowing grin. Norikawa cracked a ghost of a smile. His spirits had been lifted just a tiny little bit. Thank you, he replied. You're a true friend of the working man. He waved half-heartedly, then headed into the building. Mr. Mino! Chiaki threw herself at him as soon as he opened the door to the editing office. News of the explosion was playing on the television. Norikawa marched straight to his desk and opened up his laptop. While it booted up, he tried to get a handle on the current situation. Where are the folks from the loan company? He asked. They're here, Chiaki said. I have them waiting downstairs. Do they know Toyama's dead? I'm sorry. Kinda let that slip. And about Hana? I'm not sure. Haven't heard from her since she called earlier. With a tiny sigh, Minorikawa started typing at his laptop. By some miracle, his 6 pages of the copy were nearly wrapped up. Still, he needed to do whatever it took to see this job through to the end. That would serve as his final tribute to Toyama's memory. He loaded his copy onto the DTP software in order to set the layout. Bit by bit, actual magazine articles began to take shape. Then the editing department doors swung open. Hey, snarled the young man who barged in first, kicked over a stack of books. How long you gonna keep us waiting, huh? Honestly, Sagawa, you be so rowdy, middle-aged man stepped in alongside him. Are you Mr. Minorikawa then? He added as he his eyes fixed on the journalist. He held out his business card. A pleasure to meet you. I'm Asao Ozu from Takareta Financing, a black market lending firm that offers loans at an interest rate above what the law allows, well known for taking whatever steps necessary to collect what's owed. Its business card slogan, got bad credit but still need a loan? Call anytime. We'll put together a loan that suits your needs. My deepest sympathies about Mr. Toyama. However, I'm afraid that we need you to give us back the money we loaned. Despite his polite tone, the threat in his voice was plain. Look, next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip is definitely coming out. Could you please wait for payment until we have the funds from the sales? Minorikawa asked. That was exactly what Toyama's plan had been, after all. Well, we certainly aren't monsters. If the magazine's going to be making you money, we won't mind delaying another month. Really mean it? Chiaki chirped. To clarify, that would be the case if Toyama was still alive. Releasing the next issue is all well and good with Toyama gone, so is the company. That will make full repayment of what we're owed impossible, I expect. What do you want us to do? Norikawa asked coldly. How about we just cut to the chase? Growled the young man Sagawa. Dig out your ears and listen up. Chiaki recoiled in a panic, and Minorikawa held up an interposing hand. Yes, Al Ghul, I am actually doing better. Slowly. And, last night was the first night I slept on, a normal pillow instead of, the big wedge pillow that, it keeps me, propped up. And it was so nice. And, it's funny, today was, it's gonna sound weird. This morning was the first morning since the surgery where the first thing I did in the morning wasn't to clean my nose. To clean and medicate and whatever. I know I'm not really using medication at this point. It's just stuff that keeps it moist. And I do still use that because it's winter and really dry. But yeah, I'm doing well. Understandable partner time. You are more than happy to be. We are more than happy to have you lurking and enjoying and just chilling as you do. Hello, Kira. Long time no see. Yeah, no, I can actually say, yeah, it's even more so. I'm really starting to like my new nose. Like, there are more and more moments where I can just breathe nicely without like weird sensations or coldness or whatnot. It just like normal, nice breathing through the right nostril, which before was basically completely useless. It's great. I can't wait for it to be completely healed in a few months and be able to like, I don't know, maybe sleep on my stomach ever again. I don't like sleeping on my stomach, and like you're not supposed to unless you can't fall asleep any other way, but like it's better for you to not sleep on your stomach just in general. But like it's nice to be able to. Just like at all ever sometimes it's nice. Even just for a few hours in the middle of the night. It's yes, my new nose is breathtaking. Good stuff. Oh yeah, I'm a hardcore side sleeper too. I can sleep on my back, but it is not my favorite. It's actually one of the best positions for sleep. Like, if you care about your spine, sleeping on your back is the best. And if you care about like your stomach and your organs and stuff, then sleeping on the side is like the best. And also, it's like the second best for your spine. But the real best is just to kind of do both. I also really like side sleeping because we have two sides. You know what I mean? Like if you like sleeping on a side, you also like sleeping on the other side. They're both great. If you sleep on your back and you're like, I would like a different position, you don't have a second back. You just like wiggle around maybe your neck or something. I don't really know, honestly. Like I kind of did that. I kind of like pretended I was sleeping on my side by just putting my head over as much as I could and having a pillow prop it up to be like, yes, I am definitely on my side. But all I was doing was just like twisting my torso a little bit. The sleep meta, right? The sleep my back. Oh yeah. Like if you're sleeping on your back is way better if you're on like a much harder surface than the average bed too. Yeah. I turn so much when I sleep. Like, I honestly hope that once, like, I'll just be sleeping more and more through the night now that, like, generally, like, and I don't mean just, like, post-surgery. I mean pre-surgery, sleeping more through the night versus pre-surgery because it's great. It's great to be able to not wake up just, like, randomly, like, breathing. You know, it happens. Yes, exactly. Left side's better. Basically, that's exactly what it is because of how your stomach is oriented. Like, first of all, if you have a stomach ache and you want to lay on your side, make sure you're laying on your left side if you have anything going on with your stomach. And yes, it is better for stomach acid in general. Laying on your back is okay if you're dealing with stomach stuff, but you need to be propped up in that case. So, like, you need to be sleeping at, like, a 45-degree angle, which it can be hard to fall asleep like that, but you can get used to it, especially if you have, like, a long, tubey pillow that you can, like, kind of cradle around your like, shoulder, neck area, and then it's, like, then you still can feel, like, the niceness of being, like, I don't know, cuddled by something. I don't know how to describe it. Like, if I have a pillow on the side of my face when I'm sleeping on my back, it feels more like I'm sleeping on my side, so it feels better. It's like, I don't know. It's like what it is. Is there a right side? Well, I mean, sleeping on your right side is just nice to give your bones and muscles a break from the left side, but otherwise, the left side's the best side. Jackie recoiled in a panic, and Minorikawa's held up an interposing hand. Knock it off, he said. You're scaring the young lady. Thin smile came to Ozu's face. All we want to know is where Mr. Toyama's daughter is. Yeah, that's right. Tell us where the girl is. No way, Chucky squeaked in protest. She's just a little kid. She doesn't have any responsibility to pay back the... Ozu didn't let her finish. We're aware of that. Nevertheless, we'd still like to know where she is. The law didn't matter right now. Guys like this had all sorts of ways of wringing money out of people. Ooh. It was clear from the looks on their faces that Ozu and Segawa had some wicked scheme up their sleeves. Well, it sounds like child trafficking, so I'm not interested in that. CyberConnect 2 finished up their trilogy for Little Tail Bronx. Fully fledged .hack revival occur almost 16 years of no new mainline game. Interesting. I would love to see the trailer for that. I should go look that up if I remember after stream. We'll see. Oh yeah, we're dealing with the Yakuza apparently. Well, it's not even Yakuza. These are just loan sharks. Like the worst kind of loan sharks. I guess they are pretty kind of Yakuza gangy like. Unless, of course, you would prefer to take on Toyama's debts, Mr. Minorikawa. You are quite the accomplished reporter, after all. Take on his debts, huh? Minorikawa didn't know how much Toyama had borrowed, but it only took one look at these guys to tell him it was no small sum. How about it, Joseph? The way you land scoop after scoop, I'm sure you'll be able to repay us in full before you die. Minorikawa fiercely returned his stare. Let me drink some tea. It's true, these are the loan shark collectors, so yeah. Like, I don't think these are the guys giving out the loans. I think these are the guys enforcing the loans. I don't know, can't we just call it even? The two men stiffened. What was that? The older of the two demanded. Can't we just call it even? This time, Minorikawa spat the words out sharp and clear. The older fellow furrowed his brow, a vein pulsing visibly at his temple. You want to say that one more time? He growled. Minorikawa cleared his throat. Call it even. The next thing Minorikawa knew, he'd been headbutted right between his eyes. An instant later, he was slammed bodily down onto the desk. You dumb bastard. He could vaguely hear the middle-aged man's voice ringing inside his head. That's when he lost consciousness. Yep. It tells a lot about it. Mr. Mino! Someone was calling to him. Mr. Mino, make up! Jackie? He forced his eyelids back open. What happened? Here, could you please read this? Jackie handed out a printed draft of her article. How long had he been knocked out? A minute? No, maybe an hour? Are you awake now, sir? The voice of the middle-aged thug intruded in his dazed mind. Looking around, Minorikawa saw the two men from Tucker Auto Financing still there, casually seated on the sofa. He couldn't have been out for too long then. We'll just wait here till you're inclined to take on this debt. Minorikawa's nose stung painfully. Please, can you read this? Jackie repeated. My copy from the street interviews. I know even if next month's issue gets released, it's not going to fix the debt problem, but still. I mean, I already wrote it to you, Donald. Nodding silently, Minorikawa took a hold of the copy. She was right. This wasn't going to help with the debt situation, but when a professional took on a job, they saw it through to the end. Minorikawa gave it a quick once-over. He saw immediately that the piece was lacking in structure. Then read the article a second time, checking the finer details. Several off-theme sentences jumped out at him. This is no good, rewrite it. He thrust the printout back at Chiaki. Yes, sir. She bowed her head and retreated to another desk. The TV was still on. A news broadcaster... I hope he was more specific about what was wrong with it. Because, like, it is not helpful if someone criticizes something saying, it's all terrible. Good luck. We're live on the scene now, where an explosion in Shibuya has. Minorikawa gazed blankly at the screen. He found his mind drifting to a particular memory of Toyama. The door looked like it might fall apart any moment, but Minorikawa didn't care. He pounded on it as hard as he could. A Toyama nameplate popped off and fell to the floor. It's hard to believe this dilapidated apartment was the home of a newspaper editor who'd worked his way up from a reporter. Hey, Toyama, get your ass out here. The sound of Minorikawa's angry shouting, other tenants on the floor poked their heads out of their rooms to stare. He paid them no heed, continuing to call out. Eventually, Toyama opened the door, dressed in his sweats and undershirt. Quiet down, you moron. Come on in. I hear you tendered your letter of resignation at the paper. Minorikawa sat cross-legged on the tatami-covered floor. Tell me why. Toyama quirked a lopsided grin. Wanna know why I quit, huh? All right, lean in close. Minorikawa peered at him dubiously. Huh? Why? I don't want anyone overhearing this. Resigned, Minorikawa leaned forward and turned his right ear towards Toyama. The man's warm breath against his cheek was pretty unsettling. At At first, he had trouble concentrating on Toyama's story. When the older man got to the crux of the matter, he found himself listening with rapt attention. By the time Toyama finished, Minorikawa was unable to suppress his shock. You're starting your own publishing company? It's so loud, damn it. Toyama shushed him with a finger to his lips and he looked around wearily as if there might be spies in his own apartment. Great, but a publishing company, Morikawa said again, more quietly this time. What are you doing for your distributor account? All booksellers were required to use a wholesale distributor to circulate their publications. To do business with such a distributor, a publisher needed a specialized distributor account. You're not going to let a company with no track record open a new account with a distributor. I'm sure you must realize that. Emma grinned, a proud gleam in his eyes. I know, that's why I bought one. You bought one? A ghost account belonging to a publisher that went bankrupt. Distributor accounts could go for tens of millions of yen. There was no way Toyama could afford that on a severance pay alone. He must have taken out a loan in order to make the purchase. The publishing industry was in a slump nowadays. People just weren't buying books much anymore. Starting a new publishing company was a beyond risky endeavor. I've already decided on a name for my company, Minorikawa. Toyama's face was beaming. Get this. Heaven Publishing. Heaven? It sounds fatalistic. The idea is that the people who work for me will feel like they're in paradise. For all his fetching about keeping quiet, Toyama was now claiming pretty loudly himself. Yeah, no. Yes, it is a vicious business because the thing is, while regulations are important and useful for a lot of industries, the problem is that regulations also generally tend to keep a status quo. So the people who are already in a business, already doing a thing, already there, they're happy about the regulations. And the only reason they're happy about the regulations is because it basically makes it so that they can't really have competition. They won't really be able to have new people. It's the same thing with the reason why, okay, for all the bad about Uber, there were some good things about Uber, and there are still some good things about Uber, but yeah, exactly. The deeply rooted establishments, for example, the taxi medallions. Oh, thank you. Goodbye, partner time. Thank you so much for the lurk. And now these gorgeous stickers. Beautiful. Thank you. And so taxi medallions are something that basically you inherit or you buy. And because it was to limit the number of taxis on the roads. And this makes sense because the roads are already super congested. The regulation makes sense overall. But the problem is that it means that if you want to get involved in a taxi business, those medallions get more and more expensive because they're not making more of them. So good luck. Good luck getting that, and it means that people can sell them for a lot of money. So it's a whole thing. I could appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but surely your wife must have had objections, Yorikawa said. Toyama fell silent. He went and opened up the refrigerator. Minorikawa took a peek inside. Its shelves were mournfully spare, holding little besides beer cans and drinking snacks. Taxi medallion. Oh, it's real though. They are called medallions. I don't know why they're called medallions. Probably because they were a physical thing. Because it would make them. They probably were a physical metal thing. They might still be because it makes them hard to fake and replicate. So Mrs. Left Me took our daughter with her. A scant few words painted the picture clearly enough. Toyama grabbed a can of beer and tossed it to his guest. No more sob stories, he went on. He briskly cracked open his own can of beer. Weak foam bubbled up from the top. Cheers, Minorikawa, to Heaven Publishing's big debut. He cast everything aside and was striving for a new beginning. The man had braced himself for the challenge. It wasn't Minorikawa's place to tell him he was making a mistake. Even if it was an uphill battle, he'd had little chance of winning. Congrats, Mr. Toyama. Minorikawa pulled the tab on his beer can. Cheers. The two of them clacked their cans together. And haha, that's Ladybot telling me that it is 10 p.m. Alright, we're gonna finish out the scene, and I will have to call it for today because unfortunately, even though I have to start stream later today, work and getting up for work tomorrow does not start any later, so. Alright, I think it's gonna save here. This would be a perfect, well, yep, it just saved. Okay, perfect segue. We're going to call it right there. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm glad I got to stream some too. It was nice. I hopefully will be able to stream at a normal time next week. I mean, I should be, but at this point, I feel like every time I say that, I'm just jinxing it at this point, just because of all the stuff that's been happening recently. So, I'm just gonna say we'll see how next week weeks. We'll see how the rest of this week weeks. Week. Not jinxing, knock on wood. Let's see how it goes. Hey, man, it was great to be able to stream today. That's the part that matters. The part that matters is we got to stream today, and it was great. And we got another to be continued, and we're almost at the end with this Minorikawa to get another to be continued and go to the next hour, and it's gonna be great. And that's where we're at. So yes, again, thank you all for joining me. And for those of you who figured out I'm streaming late still and decided to come say hi, I'm really great. I'm really glad that you stopped by. Really glad people were able to stop by in general. And yeah, that is it for me today. And have a great rest of the week, y'all. And see you again soon. Bye.